July the 22nd, 2025. Guys, just a quick video this morning. It's been hot lately, and it's continuing to do that. We have several sections now in what's called level 3 heat warnings or extreme heat warnings. And that's throughout much of Mississippi, over into Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Indiana, up through here. And in the maroon, you're talking about an extreme heat watch. But when you get into this purple here, lighter purple, then you're talking about extreme heat warnings. And that's really carrying all the way through down to the coast of Louisiana, too. But the orange areas are heat advisories, again, heat watches. And then here in our area, we are in a level 3 heat warning or extreme heat warning. I want to pull it down and just take a look at it. Guys, anywhere on this map, and all you got to do is go to weather.gov, G-O-V, and click anywhere and get the information of your area, okay? I'm going to go down here to central Mississippi. It's where we're at, but again, you can do it anywhere. And just to give you an idea of what some of the readings are on this extreme heat. Now, guys, please keep all of this in mind. I know if you're in the South, you have to, or you're not going to make it. But again, we're at significant level 3. We got heat temperatures could get 100 degrees, heat indices 110 to 115. I got news for you guys. We've been breaking 115 for a week and a half or two now, up to 121 from our home weather stations. But the heat stroke is increasingly likely with prolonged outdoor activity. That's very important, guys. If you ever have a heat stroke, you don't get over it. You just become more susceptible to heat from that point on, and it can kill you. Now, this has come down through the center of the state, and over in this area, you're elevated level 2, 105 to 110 heat indices with the temperatures in the upper 90s. Not much difference, to be honest with you. You probably couldn't tell it because it's so miserable. And I agree, Smokey, as my husky saying, yes, Daddy, it's hot out there. And one thing about it, we're not in the purple yet. But I would not doubt anything that goes on between now and the end of August going into September. We haven't had the tropical weather that we normally have by this time of year. Here, it's July 22nd. To cool the oceans, and when you cool off the Gulf of America and the Atlantic Ocean, it helps the temperatures everywhere. But we're in the middle of it, and you just got to be very careful. It says recognize heat illness, never leave people or pets in the vehicles, and stay hydrated. Now, if you never had a heat illness, it can start just like a kind of a numb spot on your head if you're out in it, and then you start feeling weak and you may start cramping up, and by then it's too late. You never recover. Now, you may alleviate some of the symptoms. This happened to me, let's see, I was in my 30s on a big construction job. Ended up in the emergency room getting several bags of drip going through there, and the cramps going all the way through your entire body. And then after several hours, the cramps have made it all the way down to your toes, and they're bending back. And that's the easy part, okay? But what occurs after that point is you get sick so quick. You lose your appetite, headaches, sickness, just from being exposed to a little bit of heat. So if you can avoid that ever happening, please do. I've told people about it that work outside, and they try to understand, but until it happens, they don't. And it happened to a good friend of mine. He knew that I was having trouble with it. He was a boat captain down in the coast, and finally it happened to him, and he let me know. He said, now I know what you're talking about. The headaches, the sickness, you can't eat. You can't focus. And so, guys, it is a bad thing that happens to you. It's an incident that I don't know if you can recover from it. But it says the dangerous heat stress conditions will continue across the area today. A combination of heat advisory and extreme heat warnings will be in effect due to elevated to extreme heat stress levels. That's the big thing we got to watch for the next few months. Now let's switch over to our satellite imaging here. Florida, you're getting some pretty good storms, and I want to talk about that because I've seen a pattern setting up, and what you're seeing, guys, the reason this heat is over this area is we're basically under a high-pressure heat dome, and you can see the moisture trying to circulate around it. Not as bad as I have seen it before. We're getting a break in Florida, and we'll look at it a little closer in the infrared. But what I've noticed in this high-pressure loop that we're seeing here is moisture that's came up out of the Gulf, and even the little tropical system we had a few days ago. All of that moved up here and started moving across the nation. And because of this southern drift right here, we almost have a loop. See this moisture? I've seen this before with some storms that have come in. We've had tropical storms go up, loop back around, and come back through. Very powerful. Not saying that's going to happen now, but these storms right now are building up. You've got offshore advisories right there and coastal boating watches and warnings, so be very careful with it. Let's switch over to infrared and pull that up a little closer. And this is what we have. Again, if you look back at that map, you'll see that large orange section right here off the Florida Panhandle. And again, it's marine warning. So this is good. In the heat, this is always good. I would rather have a severe thunderstorm than a heat stroke. I'm just saying, and any of you guys would too. It's terrible on everything. And the one thing that's different this year, and we haven't had it in a few days, is the amount of rain. And that's been quite a blessing in a lot of places. Not the flooded areas, but the farmers and the other places where the people aren't affected by these flash floods. And that's a good thing. I hope that pattern comes back into play because you could definitely, again, hasn't happened in a couple of days, but we would be up around 115 or something, heat index, and then a rain come through and then dropping into the 70s. And that really makes a difference in what happens, guys. It didn't happen here last night. It didn't happen to many places in the southeast, is you don't get that cooling effect. It doesn't really cool off overnight. So the morning you wake up with the heat is still there and it builds like that for a few days. But again, this conveyor belt over this high pressure zone is getting caught up right here and looping some of this moisture back. That's a good thing. Maybe we won't get any tropical development from that, but anytime you see these storms, it's kind of like a small tropical system. You're getting surface temperatures up into the air. The rain cools everything down some. So that is a blessing. Our Father knows when we need certain things. Now it's hot, and you need to stay out of it. You need to listen to these advisories, okay? But again, we were kind of tied up in this loop right here. Don't know how this will affect the weather going forward, but let's keep an eye on it, guys in Florida. For anything getting caught up in here and looping down and re-strengthening, this moisture that you're seeing was over here yesterday. Now it's coming back, starting to come back up into Alabama, right in this area. We need it, guys. We need it in the southeast very bad. Just wanted to come here with this short video and let you know what's going on. Take extra precautions today. What did it say? Stay out of the heat as much as possible. Plenty of rest, plenty of hydration, pets, and children. I'm still seeing almost daily some fool around the nation leaves their kids in the car and they find them dead. Who does that? What kind of drugs are you on? Seriously. But anyway, guys, there's a lot going on. Watching for some moves right now. I'm going to come back with another update about what we're seeing with the situation in D.C. Now, D.C. is important to me because that is what affects the entire country and much of the world, what goes on there. And I've always paid attention to it, and I always will. But this thing right now, it looks like the deep state may be in trouble, as close as it's ever been to being in trouble. I really haven't talked about the Obama-Brennan situation with Russiagate and all that because they're hyping it real big time right now. And when they hype something that big, sometimes it can be a big letdown, just like some of the other files and things that were supposed to be released. But right now it's so important that they take out the deep state. They have every one of them in their clutches. The DOJ, FBI, all of that, they have them. Now, will they keep them there, and will they bring, you want to make America great again, Trump? Then you better get these devils out of here. You didn't do it your first term. You came in, you were a rookie in politics. We all understand you did a great job then. But you did not take the trash out. You got rid of Comey, but you let Strzok and all those other people keep playing in the background. Brennan, and I don't know where the people that were advising you came up with some of the Department of Justice and FBI directors and all of that were just basically betraying the American people. They are traitors, and traitors don't get an excuse for, well, we're past the time, you can't prosecute us anymore. When you're a traitor, that never occurs. So there's no statute of limitations on that. But that needs to happen. We're going to take a little closer look at it. Maybe they will do something on this. We've been disappointed, the first administration on the deep state walking free. And with Hillary and all of that, Russiagate, all of that was planned. Now we're seeing it. We knew it. Now the paperwork's coming forward. So I'm hoping that we see some changes, because if you don't get rid of the deep state, they're going to creep back in like roaches at night. Basically, that's about the same mentality they have. The Democrats haven't done anything in the last 5 or 6 years other than destroy the country. Just saw where Buttigieg spent $80 billion. He was supposed to be taking care of transportation and airlines. But none of it went to improving the airlines or the air control towers. What it did, he spent $80 billion for grants for DEI students and people working in that area. In other words, it was a big grift for the Democratic Party, $80 billion. And then as soon as then you start seeing airplanes, helicopters crash, everything else, right? They never upgraded it. They spent that $80 billion for DEI grants. They were supposed to go to rebuilding the airport communications and all of those systems like that. And that's what we were dealing with. They thought they had it. The Democrats said, well, we can destroy America now. We can burn up all the strategic petroleum reserves. We can stop doing anything. We can let the nation be overrun. Why rebuild the infrastructure? Why rebuild the bridges? Why rebuild the airports when we're turning it over to China anyway? That was the mentality. And now that a lot of that money's being cut off, they're in panic. They don't give a damn about the immigrants. It's the grift and look, another thing that is they raised millions after the fires in Los Angeles that burned all those people out. And not one penny has went to any of those people. It got grifted out to different organizations, some over on the East Coast. And then they handed it out in grants to other organizations to do studies. The people that millions of dollars was raised for has not got a penny of it. And if you remember something that may be part of the plan now, that our politicians are seeing what's going on, is the fact that you remember as soon as Trump got in, they went down to L.A. and kind of snubbed Bass and talked about, we're going to get this rebuilt. We're going to get the money back in here, and I want you to get all the permits for these people to rebuild. Well, less than 100 permits have been issued. But then I think when Trump saw the way Gavin and Bass is acting in California, they're all about their grift, not the immigrants, definitely not the citizens. And what Trump is doing, I think he's backed away from that. Why? He wants the people in California that put up with this crap to suffer through it long enough to where they will run these demons out of their state. I think that's what's happening, and maybe that's the only way to purge it, because it is the most libtarded place. If you watch the protest, well, most of the blue cities are like that, the sanctuary cities, then it is mindless. It's a mindless attempt. And what's happening, you guys remember USA got took down. It was a blessing. But a lot of that was going back in to pay for all these riots and protests. And now that that money is being taken down, I want you to notice something. You've got the night creatures and crawlers that come out like the BLM Antifa or Trans Tifa bunch with the pink hair now. But if you look at these day protests, what's happened, the difference I'm seeing now between this administration and the first time Trump was in and people were protesting is it's a much older generation in the daytime protest. What is that telling you? That money was going to retired people that weren't working that could use the extra cash. And then they would go up and protest, and then again the creeps come out at night. But in other words, they have, and now that money's gone to pay even the elderly, and I'm elderly. I'm not complaining about that. But what I'm saying, that's who you're seeing in these daytime protests. A lot of old folks out there with signs. They're not throwing bottles. They're not doing anything. It's for show. But that grifting is starting to dry up, and I think you're going to see a lot more protests dry up. But guys, we're watching this. Didn't mean to make it this long. Pay attention to the heat. Take care of your pets. Make sure your kids are okay, and yourself. Hydrate. Stay in the shade. Stay cool. To hell with it. On these days like this, it's not worth your life. So heads up, guys. Be safe.